Welcome to another episode of the Carlito Monroe Show. I'm your host, Carlito Monroe. And today I was thinking about what I was going to do a show about. As the title states, is being a Doordash driver over? It's something I dabbled with, I guess, over the past few months. And, I have a regular job, but then I kind of just dabble with that because there's a few guys I work with. They also was doing DoorDash along with working, and we make good money. But anything extra could be helpful. You know what I mean? It could just be money you just blowing on whatever. So I figured I'd try it out. My son did it for a while, so I figured I'd give it a go. Before we go into that, though, I got my social media information at the bottom. All of it's the same. Carlito Monroe Show. If you can do me a favor, click like, share, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload new content. But it's being a DoorDash driver over. They changed the kind of the rules to it here lately, and people that's not familiar with it. Initially, you could make a little money from it. My son made more because when he started doing it, fuel prices were lower. And when I started dabbling around with it, because I felt like, well, how could you make money from that? Getting a few dollars here and there, and different guys I work with was talking about it. And the one guy told me, he's like, oh, man, you could make your car payment with, the money, if you really invest some time in it. And when I looked at it, I was like, maybe I'll try it. I got a little Honda Accord. It's a 97 Honda Accord. So I was like, it's 4-cylinder. I can, I wouldn't burn much gas doing it. I tried it. I made a lot of beginner mistakes, taking terrible orders, having a hard time finding people because people don't put the right information in. So you may get an order that doesn't have an address, or it's an order to a school, because that's happened to me a few times. It could be a kid ordered Chick-fil-A and they're at school. So, you take a breakfast run, you get this Chick-fil-A, and then you find out you're at a high school and you have no idea where this kid is. And then you're calling them, they may not answer. It's the same thing with teachers. They may answer, may not. They don't have really, especially with kids, they don't have clear-cut instructions on how to get the food to them. So that becomes a headache. But it was a lot of little different things when I first started out. As I got the hang of it, and I actually ended up enjoying it. I was making a little money. I liked doing it. I felt like it was a level of, like you completing something. Like it's kind of not the same category, but somebody's just, putting up drywall or sheetrock, or working on a vehicle, and once they get done, they repair whatever it is. It's a good feeling, like, hey, I did it, I finished something. And so I got that feeling that I had when I was in high school by doing it. And I had done delivery thing in 20, 30 years. I had in high school. I think I was like 17, maybe. I was my last year of high school, something like that. And I worked at this pizza place. It was a smaller pizza place. I think it was private owned, but it was called Mazio's Pizza. And the owner, he was a manager, owner, and everything. His wife was working in there, and I got a job there. It was not far from where I lived. And I was like the delivery / cook / dishwasher / bathroom clean. He was just whatever they needed. So I liked doing the deliveries. And it's something about it. I just liked it. It's not a high paying job to do that. I see the Domino delivery people or whatever. They probably make a lot more than DoorDash people now. But at one point, DoorDash was okay, but they've changed the things. And, as I was doing it, I learned how to cherry pick certain jobs, not take every job, so you'll have an order come in that won't have a tip on it. And it might be, $3 for 9 miles. Well, that's not a feasible thing. It's $3, and then you go into the place to get the food, and you go in to deliver it, and then now you're 9 miles away from the hot spot where you first got the meal. So you're losing to take an order like that. But newer people will take those kind of orders. And I think that's what DoorDash bank on. I think that's what they're banking on now. So I would cherry pick orders and wasn't doing bad. I think like I would only do it like 2 hours a day. Because again, like I have a job. So I would do like a couple of hours. And in those couple of hours, I mean, on a bad day would be like $40. That's $20 an hour. On a really good day, it'd be 80, 85. And I think one time I even got $91, $92. So, yeah, you really could do really well. And I was thinking like, man, if I can do this in 2 hours, somebody that worked 2 hours breakfast, 2 hours lunch, 3 hours dinner, you probably can make 150, $200 a day easy, if everything's running right. And I know a few people that actually do it full time. And I haven't talked to them. There was a guy work out at the gym. I know he does it full time. And I haven't talked to him to see how it's effective, but it can't be good. So here lately, when they changed the rules, they came up and saying, hey, we're going to reset your acceptance rate. So my acceptance rate on the average was 31, 33%, something like that. And it'll drop down to 20 something. It'll work its way back to 30 something. But I was making pretty good money because when I got terrible orders that didn't tip or very low tip, I just wouldn't take them. And I was able to pick orders that were a little more feasible. Sometimes I would only pick orders that would keep me in the area where I live. Because I don't live far from a hot spot that's got all the restaurants. Matter of fact, it's two hot spots. I can go to either one and they're clicking. They're all around lunchtime. They're all making a little money. And yeah, I would cherry pick, but now they've changed it where your percentage rate will get you the high value orders. And I forgot how long ago it was, but they changed it. So I was like, oh, well, my percentage rate at the time was probably 20% or something. Reset, it jumped up, took an order. It was 100%, didn't take one. It dropped to 50%, but it needs to stay over 50 to be considered diamond. And the only thing it's done is put a little picture of a diamond on there and say, you're only getting this order because you have a high acceptance rate. Well, this is their manipulative tactic to get you to take the terrible orders. And the seasoned veterans, and I don't even consider myself a seasoned veteran. I know the job pretty well, and I know the do's and don'ts. But people like us weren't taking those orders, and we were cherry picking. But now that they have that, you have some people trying it out, trying to keep that diamond status, because the orders that we would cherry pick to get, mysteriously now you don't get those orders at all. So I'll say like a good order was something like $6.50 for 3 miles or 3.1 miles or 2 or whatever, $6.50. That was a good run. And then it depends on what the restaurants is, because there was some restaurants you have in your black book that you didn't deal with because they took too long or the people were rude or they wouldn't even make the order till you got there. So, so $6.50 for 3 miles, something like that. It was a good order. Some people say that's not a good order. I mean, but now you can't get those orders unless there's no drivers available and they say, okay, this guy with this low percentage, we'll give him that order. But they won't put a diamond on it or anything like that. I know a guy that wouldn't take less than $5. It could be $5 2 miles. He wouldn't take it because it was $5 and there's a whole algorithm and everything. And I get that. I would take a $5, especially if it kept me in the area, because you could keep getting those $5 2 miles and they weren't the best orders, but they were close and it kept me near home and I could do, 3 or 4 of those an hour. And that's $20, 20 something bucks, because it'd be $5 and something. But even those orders, it got to the point I wouldn't get them anymore because I didn't hold that percentage because I was still cherry picked. So what it is now, they've manipulated, and then they have the younger new drivers that don't know any better, and they're trying to keep their percentage up, and they're accepting all these trash orders. And I can tell you, and if you look at other people on YouTube that talk about DoorDash, it's all the same. It's all the same. If you get an order that doesn't have a tip on it, the customer is usually very difficult. They're not leaving the proper information. When you do get a hold of them, I don't know if I have attitude, how long it takes, because this whole game is set up on doing it fast, quickly. So if you waste 10, 15 minutes trying to give somebody one $5 order, a $3 order, a $2 order, something that doesn't have a tip on it, you already losing money taking that order in the first place. But I've noticed since I've been doing it, all the low orders or the orders that I didn't get a tip, they were very difficult. I couldn't find them, or they give you the wrong address, or when they did, they were rude to you, and then they had an attitude. I had a woman curse at me one time because her food was cold. Lady, your food was cold because you didn't tip. So people were cherry picking, not taking these orders. I only took the order because I was on my way to work. This order was en route to work. I only was going to get $2.25 for 10 miles, but I was already going that direction anyway. So it wasn't a good order, but it was extra $2, and I could not take it and get $0 or take it and get $2 because I was going that way anyway. So I took the order. And then I caught hell with the address, trying to find the lady because she was at like at one of those rehabilitation centers or something like that, cerebral palsy. I forgot. It was some kind of center like that. And you couldn't go in there. And then nobody knew who it was. I'm calling the number. They're not answering. And then you do the little timer thing. It counts down, and you can either keep the food or throw it away or whatever. And I forgot what she ordered or whatever it was. I didn't want it anyway. I do more of a eating once a day thing, the OMAD thing, 1 meal a day. So I eat like that. So I had already eaten, and it was out of my window. I wasn't interested in it anymore. So time and the counter clocked down, and I could keep the order, throw it away or whatever. So I'm just like, I did what I could. And then she calls, and then I say, oh yeah, I'm still out here. I had a meal for you or whatever. Now, mind you, there's no tip, $2.25. And I was like, yeah. And I actually jokingly told her, well, it wasn't even jokingly because I was about to leave. But since I had her now, I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, man, I was just about to leave. It's a good thing you called, just kind of laugh it off or whatever. And then she tells me, no, the hell you weren't. She gave me all attitude about it. And I was just like, because it caught me off guard. I was like, okay. I say, well, I got the food. Where you want me to meet you? You need to bring it to me. She had all attitude. I was just like, at this point, I did not have to give it to her because I had already did the counter thing. I could have kicked it like a football field goal, or I could have threw it on the roof of this rehabilitation place, or threw it in the trash, or wait for her to come out the door and then just drop it and kick it at her. I could have did whatever because technically it was my food now, and I think they had already refunded her. I'm not sure on that for sure, but I think that's how it goes. And she comes out, yeah, you just such and such. And I was like, okay. And I gave her, and then she gets in there and just like, this cold. Blah, 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 blah. I say, well, it was cold when I got it, ma'am. And there's no tip on there. People don't take these. I tried to explain to her how this DoorDash thing works. I said, people won't take an order that doesn't really have a tip on it. They just don't, drivers won't take them. They said, that's your job to take it. And she was talking to me as if this was my bread and butter. I was a DoorDasher, and then I couldn't do any better than this. I just said, okay. And I just walked out. And needless to say, I delivered food, and then she gave me like a 1 star. It took my, they have like a number percentage, 5 is the highest. And I was riding like 498, 497 for the longest. And then it dropped me down to like 490. She gave me like a 1 star and I was just like, I regretted that. And from that point on, I said, I'm just not taking low orders anymore. I'm just not taking it because they're the worst ones because they don't tip and they have the most attitude. And they're like, our food's cold. Of course it's cold. Nobody's trying to take this food. And there's another thing I ran into with taking a low order prior to that one. Took the order because it was en route to work. It actually wasn't terrible, but it was like 10 miles, $7. But hey, it's on the way to work. It's extra $7 to top off my 50 or 60 or 70, whatever I had going. So I'll take it. So I get the order. I'm sitting. Well, I didn't get the order. I'm sitting there waiting. And then I tell them the name, and they're looking for it. They say, oh, somebody got that order. It's like, somebody got the order. So you can't get out of there. You have to call DoorDash and go through the whole customer service. And there's usually somebody from another country that's doing it. I want to say, I don't want to insult anybody, but I want to say that maybe from India or something. And they probably outsourced it or something like that. But then, you bear with them. They're telling you this and they're going through all the stuff they're supposed to go through. You literally will waste probably about 10 minutes talking to them. And it's not anything they're doing wrong. That's just how it goes. So you may waste 10 minutes talking to them, trying to get it all straight so you can get taken off the order and get released and at least get half the money. So at this point, I'm waiting on, $3.50 of the money, because it was like $7 something. It was actually a little more than $3.50. I eventually got paid, but I started leaving the place. And she's like, well, it shows me you haven't even arrived at the place. I said, nah, I arrived at it. I'm on my way to work now. I'm leaving. I've wasted so much time sitting here. She says, oh, well, you have to go back in and see if they will remake the order. I said, remake the order? She's like, yeah, I talked to the customer. Customer hasn't received it. And I said, ma'am, it's over with for me. I'm not taking order. She's like, well, you're going to have to undersign and no pay. And I say, but I came here for, usually if you come for the order, it's not there, you get half the pay. She's like, no, you have to go back. So I went back. And I talked to her and said, yeah, you remake the order or whatever. And then they said, no, we're not remaking it. And I told her, I said, yeah, they said, no, they don't remake it. And she says, okay, I have to call them and verify. Well, if you can call and verify, why didn't you just call them and say, hey, remake this order? But needless to say, I got the $3.50, wasted a whole lot of time. I wasn't late for work because I usually leave early anyway, but it was just a headache. And you just deal with that with low orders. Something else I hated about DoorDash was when you get a low order that doesn't tip, they'll stack it with somebody who tipped really well. So you'll just see $15, 8 miles. It's like, hey, that's not bad. It's 2 orders. You'll go ahead and take it. You figure probably $7.50 a order or whatever. And then you look up, one person was $2.25. The other one is the $14. Not the 14, 13 something. It's the bulk of the order. And it's just like, and the one that's $2 is further. It's the furthest point than the one that had the higher tip. That used to irritate me too. And it was sometimes you can get in there and see who tipped, and I would just unassign the person that didn't tip, but then it got to a point you couldn't even get in there to see what happened with it. And that's a lot of those different things like that. But now the way they have it set up, it's only new dashers that's going to do this diamond thing, because you're taking a bath, you're taking these low orders, you're dealing with misfits. And I understand people look at it like a restaurant, but you figure in a restaurant, you get the service and then you leave a tip upon the service. With delivery driving and this gig work, the tip is to get the driver to deliver it to you. If you don't tip, just because you're paying a delivery fee, your food is going to be cold if somebody ever takes it. Because, if somebody takes it, usually they mix it in with a stack, or somebody like myself will take it just because it's en route to work. But I won't take it even then. I won't even take it in. I've never had a good one where no, I'm lying. It was one time I took one and it turned out to be, it worked out. I didn't have a lot of trouble, but it was one time it did work out. But I honestly think that door dashing is over with, man. I think it's over. It's definitely over for me. I mean, here lately, since they've changed it, periodically I'll see Dash Now and I'll just sign in. And I end up declining so many orders. It, how to put you on a pause. It has the little people standing around, and it'll just kick you into a pause, and you can end your dash or resume. If you want to go back to, and I usually resume. I might end up turning down. I think I'm probably at 1 or 2% now. I might even be at 0%. I took a dash the other day. It's maybe a couple of days ago, and I just signed on. I declined like 5 or 6 of them. And then one came in, it was like $9.75, and it was like a mile something. It was nowhere from where I live. I was like, man, $9.75. And it was going to PetSmart, and it was one item, and it was just dog food. So I think I was just the only one that happened to be available. Now, they didn't put a little diamond on there, but I'm sure, that would have been a diamond order. But I think I was the one available. I ran around the corner, grabbed it, and ran and dropped it off. Told them have a nice day. Got $9. The next 6, 7 orders after that was all $2.25, $3.25. Was all trash. And so I'm not ready to self deactivate yet. I think I'll just keep nickel and diming once in the blue moon, take an order that's good because I don't need the money. It was just something I was doing for extra. I enjoyed doing it, but I think I'll just take, order here and there. I haven't signed on today. I hadn't too long got off work this morning, so I just I didn't sign on today, but I'll probably sign on, see what's out there. I might get a decent one and just do that one run and come on back home. But to do it for a living, I recommend anybody that's on DoorDash, just give it up. Give it up until they send you an email, say, hey, come on back. I think that's with me. I'm not deactivating, just waiting on them to see that so many drivers, the good drivers, whatever, they don't have enough to get it delivered anymore. And then they'll just say, you know what, let's send these emails out. Hey, come on back and get an extra $1 a delivery, or come back on this date and get few price discounts or whatever. And I just figure at some point that they would come back with that and bring you back. That's why I'm not really deactivating. And, I just pop in there. But if you're doing it for a living, man, I would just try Uber Eats or Grubhub or Spark or Instacart. Try these other apps that they haven't changed what they're doing. It's pretty much the same, and you could probably get more money than doing DoorDash. Or you can just combine them all together. You doing a little Grubhub, little Uber Eats, and then catch a DoorDash that's decent or whatever. But just to be on DoorDash and having a high percentage just to get, a decent order here or a good order here, and then the next 3 trash. Overall, just simple math, you're losing money. And you have to consider the wear and tear on your vehicle. Because at some point, even if you have a new vehicle, it's going to need a repair. And most of the dashes I used to see, they didn't have new vehicles. So it's just wearing your car off, and you won't be able to afford to fix it. And then that's what they're banking on. They're banking on people just doing it anyway and just keep going. I just recommend trying the other gigs or get a job where you don't need to do it, where you don't have to do it. And I think it'll work out for you a little better. I'm gonna tell this quick story, dash I had it, and this probably happened to other dashes. I think I took a pizza. Yeah, it was a pizza order. You had to have a pizza bag. Well, I got a bunch of pizza bags, and I had to Papa John's. I went to Papa John's, got the pizza, delivered it to this address, and then a woman comes to the door and is like, "Oh, I didn't order pizza." I said, "Well, this is the address." She said, "Yeah, they delivered some meatball sandwiches the other day, and I called them, and they say, well, you can have them." And but I guess it was that same name. So I'm trying to hunt them down. Then I find out who they are. They're literally 10 to 15 miles away from that point. So the order was like $5.75 or $6.75. I don't remember. It was a while ago, and it was for like 3 miles. But now it was $5.75, $6.75 for 13 miles because I had already ran the 3 miles, and they were literally like 10 or 11 miles further than what that address was. But they were putting that address in my opinion, I think they were doing it to try to get over. And they may have gotten drivers to go ahead and deliver it on to the next place. So I called them and say, hey, I said, yeah, that's too far. They say, oh, well, we'll have a cash tip here for you. I said, nah, I don't go by promise. We already deal with the dollar bill. That's a Federal Reserve note. That's a promissory note that this is worth something until the Federal Reserve decide that it's not worth anything. And, so I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I say, I'll see what they're going to say. I call them. And then DoorDash, of course, is like, well, go ahead and deliver the order. And I was like, no, it's like an extra 10 or 11 miles. I said, I wouldn't take an order for 13 miles for $5.75 or $6.75. And they said, well, you're in the middle of the order. You have to. I said, I'm not doing it. I said, if you want to give me a contract strike or do whatever, I'm not delivering this pizza. They said, well, you're going to be deactivated. I said, you do whatever you got to do. I don't need this. I said, I don't need this. I'm not going the extra 11, 12 miles. They put in the wrong address unless they're going to alter the pay in the app or you guys alter the pay. I'm not delivering. And then he says, hold on. He calls them. And then they said, well, they'll have a tip. And he tells me the same thing they just told me. Oh, they said they'll have a tip, extra money for you when you get there. I said, nah, I'm not driving another 10, 11 miles. I said, matter of fact, after this order, I was going home. I'm done for the day. And then the guy, he talks to some people. That went on for about 30 minutes. It went on for about 30 minutes, and they finally gave me half pay. And that was after me going back and forth with him. He's talking to somebody and going back and forth with them. Half pay, and then told me I can keep the pizza, which I didn't keep it. I took it back to the store because I didn't know how you handle it at the time. But they told me I could keep it. And they said, oh, no. You know, we don't take them back. You might as well keep it. I said, well, where's the trash? Let's throw it in the trash. I don't want it. I had already eaten for the day. I don't eat pizza. And my wife was actually riding around with me that day, and she didn't want it either. So, but yeah, it's just stuff like that goes on, and then people don't want to tip. And what DoorDash is doing now, they're going to lose a lot of good drivers trying to make as much money as they can. You know, I even tried got a thing that said, oh, Dasher, pick yourself up a meal, 30% off. I said, oh, let me try this out. I had never ordered DoorDash. I ordered DoorDash, and I went to Penn Station. I like the Italian sandwich. It's a good Italian sandwich. You ever tried it? It's pretty good. So I went there. I had ordered online. I felt good about it. I got 13% off. And then I was looking at what I paid on the DoorDash app to compare it to what I would have paid if I ordered in the restaurant. I'm already picking it up myself. I literally was paying $3 and something more than what I would have paid. Now imagine what that would have been without the 30% off. This is what people are paying when they order through DoorDash. It's way cheaper to just go get it yourself. They're raping you on the price when you're paying for it through the app, the delivery fee, and then on top of it, you have to tip. I get it. You may pay $35 for a $16 McDonald's meal, you know, and to put a little decent tip on there to get somebody to come deliver it. I get it, but it's a luxury. You do not have to do it. It's a luxury. If you don't have a car, you can't get to. You just got to pay the cost. That's just what it is. But yeah, DoorDash they're gonna have to change things. Well, they don't have to. They can keep doing what they're doing because as long as they get new people delivered, that's gonna be what it is. But if you like the stories about DoorDash or just different life stories, I got other stories to talk about. I got reaction videos I do. Talk about news, local news, entertainment news, different things like that. You got to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. The likes don't cost anything. Subscriptions don't cost a thing. The notification bell, I guess that could be annoying. I upload something that's is giving you a bell that I've uploaded some, but that's how you can know that I got some new content to check out. I'll probably do more DoorDash stories. I got a lot of them. I got a lot of all kind of stories anyway. But yeah, just hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll be first to know when I upload content. Go ahead and wrap this show up. It's your boy, Carlito Monroe. Peace.